you're American and have seen your fair share of American movies, then you're probably familiar with the term spaghetti western. A boom in the cinematic industry following the journeys of cowboys, bounty hunters, and lawmen, all in the Wild West, where there are limited laws and even fewer people to enforce them. Towns are uniquely small, usually only having one saloon and one hotel. This setting was the foreground for multiple decades of movie making, starring hit actors like Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, and John Wayne. But in the present day, spaghetti westerns are rarely ever made, and if they are, it is to pay homage to their legendary run, or to make a spoof on the genre. And that's because the way in which people consume their entertainment has changed. Streaming services render movie theaters almost pointless, and TV shows have become much more worthwhile of an investment for production companies. Which brings us to anime, a foreign form of Japanese entertainment that began gaining popularity in the early 90s, to the point where it's at now. Anime is so mainstream now that even normal people watch it. That sentence would have been lunacy 10 years ago. But in this foreign form of entertainment, there is seemingly endless amount of genres. You want romance? They've got it. You want a crime thriller? They've got it. You want action? They've definitely got it. Probably the best ever, but that's a discussion for another day. The point is, if there's a genre you want, there most definitely is something out there for you. Kinda. You see, in my vast array of anime watching, there's one genre of cinema that I failed to see realized in my preferred form of entertainment, and that is a spaghetti western anime. While there may be a lot of anime that get close to it, I don't think I can say any anime is really a western. Most of the ones that come to mind are blends of a few things, one of which may be a western, but the others are common anime styles like cyberpunk, fantasy, or post-apocalyptic. And the first one I think of is Trigun, the story of Vash the Stampede, traveling from town to town, trying to undo the destruction of his brother, while also meeting a fun cast of side characters in his adventure, one of which is Nicholas D. Wolf Wood, a great protagonist that provides a conflict to Vash's no-kill rule. But while this anime does indeed have a lot of guns, standoffs, and shootouts in small towns, it takes place in outer space. Vash is a plant that can live forever, and his gun is basically a nuclear reactor. So to say that this is a western feels a little far-fetched. I'd say it's a blend of a few things, one of those being a western, another being a space sci-fi thriller, and another being a post-apocalyptic Mad Max sort of setting. So is it a western? Kinda, yeah, no, maybe. What else is out there? Another anime that comes to mind is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7. It does take place in the Wild West, and it does have a few things that are synonymous with westerns like horses, bounty hunters, and American freedom, but all of the characters have superpowers called stands, sort of removing the gritty and natural aspects of what make westerns. Other than those two anime, I haven't seen or heard anything similar, so I did some digging. What are some anime westerns? I found that two seem to fit the bill, Gun X Sword and Gungrave. Though I haven't seen them, Gun X Sword is more of a mecha anime, and Gungrave is much more of a mafia series than it is anything western. Both of these, while borrowing certain aspects of the famous western genre, are more blends of a few things than a true western themselves. And I think this list can be stretched even further with the likes of Cowboy Bebop, Golden Kamuy, and Cannon Busters. Listen, the influence of spaghetti westerns is far and wide. It even stretched all the way to Japan. But what if westerns, and the Wild West itself, were influenced by something else? For that, we'll have to go back in time. And also to a different nation. Ironically, that nation is Japan. The time period is the 1700s. And the place is Edo. Where a man walks into a tea shop, he sees that the waitresses aren't being treated with much respect, so he makes a wager with one. You give me 50 dumplings, and I'll get rid of these annoying customers. After the circumstances become a little more dire, she agrees. Little did she know getting rid of someone to this man meant killing them. And amongst these troublesome customers was the son of the governor, so in a fit of panic, she had placed a hit on a government official for 5 dumplings. And so her hitman locks eyes with his first target, both men with hands at the ready, lethal weapons at their disposal. And in the blink of an eye, his arm is cut off. Utter chaos ensues the tea shop. This particular time and place are cemented in history for one reason: the samurai, or more accurately, the ronin. These were warriors without a lord to protect, often depicted as wanderers and martyrs, but there was one thing that defined these people's lives, and that was a code called a bushido, a set of rules to guide them through their travels. Some were derived from their experiences, some were derived from their late master's teachings, and others' Bushido was to follow whatever they wanted, becoming mercenaries and even criminals. However, regardless of the way in which the Ronin lived, they all agreed on one rule above all else, and that is to live by the sword and to die by the sword. In other words, these motherfuckers could walk up to each other in broad daylight and just start fighting to the death. What a crazy time it would have been to live, where the value on a man's head is 5 dumplings. You know what that sounds like? The Wild West. But for that, we'll have to go back to America. In the early 1800s, where a man walks into a bar. He asks for a glass of whiskey, to which the bartender says, "This is a dry county." The man looks at the other customers and sees that that is exactly what they're drinking, and the bartender clarifies, they're outlaws. So to ease the suspense, the man says he too is an outlaw, and the customers did not take that well. So after a short exchange of words, one man stands up and begins to size up his opponent. Both lock eyes and ready their hands, and in the blink of an eye, one customer is shot square between the eyes, and chaos envelops the bar. The Wild West was quite like Edo Japan. One could say that Japan sort of began this untamed nature of mankind. In the same way, Japan had its rogue samurai known as Ronin. The Wild West had cowboys. Some had rules, some did not, and most of them just wanted money. This developed a phrase, that there are no good men in the West. What a crazy time it would have been to live in, where a man could shoot another and ride off on his trusty steed. But this crazy time period brought about another sensation, the spaghetti western. Now we have to go to Italy. In the 1960s, on a movie set, where a man walks into a bar. 2 men lock eyes, ready their hands, lethal weapons, blink of an eye, chaos, you know the drill. Italy starts making movies about these legendary gunslingers and cowboys, and that's why they are called spaghetti westerns, because they were made in Italy, and spaghetti comes from Italy. I didn't get it the first time, so maybe I'm just a dumbass. The point is, Japan did it, then America did it, then Italy started making movies about it, then America followed, and who's to say Japan can't come full circle and make an anime about it? We've already seen that a lot of creators of anime enjoy spaghetti westerns. Araki really likes Clint Eastwood, even designing his most infamous character off of him, and Yasuhiro Naitao can't help but put western-inspired things in his shows. While samurai tend to dominate the anime scene, and rightfully so, I think now more than ever the audience is there for a spaghetti western anime. America now consumes more anime than Japan because of its larger population. And with shows like Cyberpunk Edgerunners, an anime based off of an American-made game, who's to say that an anime can't be based off of an American movie genre? And let's say for a second that anime like Trigun and Cowboy Bebop are considered westerns. There are still very few anime westerns out there. Look at this. As someone who grew up watching spaghetti westerns, I would love an anime about cowboys. And I think there are 2 really good candidates. Firstly, Shinichiro Watanabe. He's made great anime like Cowboy Bebop, Space Dandy, Super Crook, Samurai Champloo, and most recently Lazarus, which was kinda ass. But his other stuff is amazing. He really explores all kinds of music genres in his anime. Cowboy Bebop is full of jazz and blues, Samurai Champloo is mostly rap and hip-hop, and Space Dandy has sounds of electric, funk, and disco. I think he would make an incredible cowboy show. I don't know what kind of soundtrack he put on it, but I'm sure it would be amazing. Another candidate is Yasuhiro Naitao, who made Trigun, Gungrave, and Kekai Sensen, all of which are super good, pretty underrated series, and obviously, he likes cowboys. I think a spaghetti western anime is definitely possible, whether it's from one of these guys or someone else, I don't know. I would really like to see that genre more explored, and it really makes me wonder about the potential. So let's do this one more time. A man walks into a bar and is confronted by the gaze of unwelcoming strangers. The man carries with him a troublesome past and a lethal weapon that he has trained with his whole life. He's well known everywhere for the things he has done on his quest, whether it be an organization, a curse of destruction that follows him everywhere, or a war story. This man is revered as dangerous. There he sees someone he knows, someone from the past, someone equally as dangerous. The men agree to settle their differences outside, and their gaze tightens on each other. Both men dancing with death at the pull of a trigger or the swing of a sword. The men begin to fight, their skills an equal match for each other. For this conflict has been destined ever since their past was brought to fruition. Both men desperately try to destroy the other while simultaneously avoiding death as it inches closer to them. However, in a final, brilliant tactical decision, the battle is decided, and the victor chosen, because his hand was quicker. And in the West, there's only two kinds of people, the quick and the dead. And the man lights himself a cigarette and walks away as the sunset kisses his silhouette. Such is the nature of the Wild West, where disputes are settled with iron, and the value on a man's life is no more than the dirt he walks on.